Are you confused about the new mortgage deferral program? Many people are. That's what we're talking about today. Let's go. Hi, my name's Barb Deshotel with CIR Realty. Welcome to my channel. And on this channel, you'll learn all things real estate. You'll learn about the buying and selling process, as well as fun things to do in and around the community. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos I post here. So let's get started. Are you confused about the new mortgage deferral program? Well, lots of people are. Today we've got Scott Grubbe, and he's with Kardia Mortgages. That is a division of Dominion Lending. So Scott is going to set us straight. Scott Grubbe. So welcome, Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Barb. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Scott Grubbe. I've been a mortgage broker for 6 years. I worked at a major bank for 5 years before that. I've got a university degree in finance. So I've seen lots of mortgages. I've been around for a while, and this is what I love to do and how I like to help people.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about what do you like to do for fun, Scott, and what your family dynamics?
Oh, sure. So for fun, being cooped up lately, I've been getting on my turntables a lot and playing records and scratching records, making beats. Wow. A little bit of the 90s that are left over in me, but it's a fun little hobby. So that's my fun time, and I've got a 2-year-old at home with my wife here. And so we're taking care of him with daycares shut down. Of course, it's keeping things pretty entertaining. He's lots of fun. And then I've got 3 older kids, 13, 11, and 10 in Ottawa right now. So I'm FaceTiming them every day and trying to help them stay on top of schoolwork, even though they're stuck at home. So
exciting to be isolated, right?
it's busy time. Some people get more time and some people get less when this kind of thing happens.
So true. So tell us about this new, mortgage deferral program. There's so much confusion. People don't know whether they qualify or don't qualify. So I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask you. The first one is really, who can qualify for this mortgage?
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion out there because it's a challenging question to answer. Every bank is running their own policy on it. So it's not a standard, this is what you need to qualify. Everybody is invited to apply for it. Different banks are running different qualifying criteria. I've heard of some that it's as simple as, oh, you want it? Okay, I'm processing it right now. Others are emailing you some forms to fill out. They're having you request it for each month, not just once, and then you get 6 months. So you have to do it each month and apply for the deferral. Some of them are following the insurer guidelines a little closer, which means that you need to show that there's some sort of impact on your ability to pay because of what's going on. So everybody's invited to apply, but it is, unfortunately, you need to talk to your specific lender to find out exactly if you will qualify.
Okay, so you're basically saying that in order to qualify, you can definitely apply, but you might not necessarily get approved for it. It sounds like you need to apply, and then if they find out that you haven't really suffered a job loss or any hardship, you may not get the deferral program, right?
It depends on the lender. So there are the odd one out there that won't ask you any questions and you'll get it. About 90% of them about 90% of requests are getting approved for the deferral program. So they're approving a lot of them.
Okay, so
there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in situations that need it. So
okay, so Scott, if you apply for this program and you don't get approved, what's your next step?
There are some other options. So you could look at refinancing your mortgage.
Okay.
That would be looking at extending the amortization. So maybe you've got 12 years left on your mortgage. And if you can refinance it and extend it out to 30 years, then the monthly payment will drop dramatically. So that'll make it more affordable. You'd still have a monthly payment, but it'll make it more affordable. You can also look at an interest-only product. So if you have enough equity in the house, you could look at interest-only. So then that will cut your mortgage payment in about half, because about half of it goes to interest and half goes to principal. There's also some other things around the mortgage that you could work on. There's property taxes. So the City of Calgary recently passed that they will allow property tax deferrals. So you can cut that. The utility companies, some of those are on board with some deferrals as well. Another one, you know, in my life, we've gone from a 2-car family to a 1-car family. So I took the insurance off one of our cars. So I think it's good to sit down and look at your budget and try and trim it as much as you can if you're stressed about this, and also look at how much runway you've got. What's your burn rate, so to speak? So I've got 15 grand in the bank. How much am I spending each month? Or even if it's on a line of credit, if you're in that situation, how much am I spending each month? And figure out exactly where you're at.
Okay. So now you mentioned that they could refinance their home or get an interest-only product. When do you need to apply for those, and do you have to show income in order to qualify for those programs?
So you would need to show income to qualify for those programs. So it would be a refinance. Going through the paperwork, you would need to hand in your tax returns, or depending on how you're employed, job letter, that kind of stuff. And so you would need to apply for the refinance. There would be a process to get you approved on that and change the mortgage around like that. So it does require income. If you're unemployed, then it gets pretty tricky to get you approved. But I still invite phone calls and emails, because every situation is specific to the person. Every situation is unique. There's a lot of general guidelines. Sometimes we can get through those guidelines and exceptions and things like that. Depends on your circumstance.
Okay. So of course, everyone's circumstances is different. So I will have Scott's contact information in the description box down below, as well as I'll make sure I put it across the top so that you can actually get in touch with Scott, and I'm sure he'll give you a hand as far as that goes. So you'd also said that it's a month to month. So if you qualify for it, you would qualify for just that 1 month, and then you need to reapply again for, say you need it for another month. It's not, I apply for it and I'm going to get 6 months right away, correct?
It depends on the bank. So this is why there's so much confusion out there, because it depends on the bank. So I'm throwing that out, that what you just said out there, to set the expectation that you don't know if you're going to get the 6 months right off the bat. You might have to do it each month.
Okay.
But if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
Okay. And then is there a fee for processing this mortgage deferral?
I don't think any of the banks are charging fees for it.
Okay.
So it's just some time and energy that you have to put into it.
Okay, so no fees. Now, if you do the deferral payment, what does it mean to you as a consumer? If I decide that, you know what, today I can't really afford my mortgage because I've been laid off, or I've heard of quite a few of my clients, they haven't been laid off, but they're working just part-time. And that's kind of what the company has decided to do. Now, if you're just working part-time, will you still qualify? And also, if you've got that 6 months time mortgage, if you've got that 6 months, do you get that all at once? And you said that you have to do it every month, right? If I don't qualify for it, say the first month, but I get laid off again, or maybe my company has me working part-time right now, and then say in 2 months from now, then the company can't pay me anymore, so they lay me off. Now I have to go through that process again.
If something happens in the next couple months and your circumstances change, you can apply for it in a few months. It's not now or never. It's not first come, first serve. It's a program that will be in place for a few months here, for 6 months.
Okay.
So it is still available if your circumstances change. Now, if you've what was your other question about being hours reduced?
Yes. So I'm working, but I'm only working part-time.
Right.
And but I still don't have the means to make, my mortgage payment, but I am still working. How does that work?
So that would be an application with the bank. Those kind of circumstances, I think they're getting approved.
Okay. Okay.
That would qualify. I think the ones that 10% that might get denied here and there are where people are still employed gainfully, they have savings in the account, they've just decided to try and take a break from their mortgage payment and do other things with that money.
Okay.
Which if you're in that situation, like, something you really need to be aware of about this program is that it's not a holiday that the bank is giving you that money. You still owe it. You still owe interest that's going to accumulate on it.
Okay.
So what happens after the 6 months is a really good question for your bank if you're applying for this, because
Okay.
you want to know, after 6 months, are they going to increase your mortgage payment by $200? Are they going to ask for lump sum payments of $2,000 a month or something ridiculous like that? You want to make sure you understand what your particular bank is offering, and then you have some time to prepare for it and figure your way through it.
Okay. So this is not a vacation, so to speak, from your mortgage, because tell me what happens when I do apply for it and I get approved. Obviously the bank is not just going to give me that money, right? They're expecting me to pay it back. Now, I've heard people say that there's interest on top of interest. Speak to me about that.
Sure. So your mortgage payment that you make each month, about half of it is interest and half of it is a principal payment. So
Okay.
you're not making that payment now. So if it's a $2,000 payment, you did not pay the $1,000 interest for that month. So that amount is getting added to your mortgage, and your mortgage, you're paying interest on that amount. So in effect, you end up paying interest on that monthly payment for 6 months.
Okay.
6 months worth of interest is adding an additional interest. There's an excellent calculator on the RBC website. Barb, maybe I can email it to you after we're done, and you can post it in the comments or something like that. A link.
Yeah.
And the calculator is excellent because it does the math on that. On a typical mortgage, it looks like it's coming in around $1,500, $2,000. So that's additional interest that you're paying for taking advantage of this program.
Okay. So it's great if you are in, financial distress, but you spoke about somebody who actually has savings, they're still working. This may not be something for them to do because you're going to be accumulating interest on top of interest, truly. So that's something for you to think about. Really, you want to only use this, I guess, if you are indeed in trouble. You've lost your job, or perhaps you're only working part-time and part-time does not cover all of your bills and your debts like that. So it's something that somebody should really look at. That's what I hear you saying.
Yes. If it's a cash flow concern that you're going to miss your mortgage payment, then jump all over this.
Okay.
If you're just looking for some sort of financial maneuver, let's talk about refinances and things like that. This isn't the right program for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which is
totally.
good, because I've heard some people say that they're going to do it. I've had clients call me and said, what do you think about this, Barb? And I said, well, did you lose your job? And some of them work in the healthcare sector. And I said, well, if you haven't lost your job, I don't think this is the right time. But I definitely think you should contact your bank and ask them about, what's best for you, right? Just because you're able to do this does not mean it's best for you and your family, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, will this affect your credit score?
It's not supposed to.
Oh, not supposed to. I
That's
don't
a
like the
funny way
fact
to
that
answer that, right? Yeah. It's not supposed to. Now so I'll just talk a little bit about the volume that the banks are experiencing
Okay.
trying to process these requests. There have been 600,000 deferrals approved in Canada.
Wow.
600,000. So that's
600,000.
12% of the mortgages that are out there. So 12% of people have approved deferrals right now, and they're on a deferral program. 600,000. So the call centers that usually handle these kind of requests are 50, 60 calls, something like that, and they've been getting like 600 calls a day as opposed to 50, 60. So there's been a lot of inquiries and contact, and they're processing it, and they're trying to stay on top of it and catch up. So what that means is that there is a timeline to expect in applying for it, that you might have to make a few calls, stay on the line for a while, send the email in. Now, some of the banks have responded by going online. So if you have online banking, you can log in, and there'll be a button that you can click on and apply for the program and walk through their process that way. I forgot your original question. Why did I go in that direction?
Well, that's okay. That's no problem. It's good to know how many calls that the banks are receiving, and I'm excited that they've gone online, because that certainly will simplify the process. And if you do decide that you want to actually phone the banks, please be kind to the call center people, because they're feeling a lot of calls right now. I mean, 12% of the mortgages, that's a lot. So be kind to them and be patient. If you don't get through, just keep going. And if you're check online, and if you're not doing online banking, maybe this is a great time to start the online banking, and check online to see if your bank is offering, where you can fill out the application, and that will make the process easier for you as well, right?
Yeah.
Now, you did say that you're going to do month to month. So this mortgage also it's not something that's forgiven. You will have to end up paying for it. You're going to give me the RBC information, and I'll make sure I put that in the link below, which is great. And now, one question I have for you is that if I am right now, I'm a buyer, I've purchased a home, and I have got, my mortgage has been approved, but then I've been laid off. How does that affect me? What's happening as far as that goes? Obviously, I don't have the mortgage as of yet, so I can't defer it, but I need to get a mortgage in order to, I bought a house. So talk to me about that. What's happening with that situation?
So when you buy the house, there's the financing condition date, and that's the date that you agree with the seller that you're going to have your mortgage finalized. But that's way before you take possession of the house.
Exactly.
So when you reach that financing condition date, you will have had your income approved, and your down payment, your credit, and all sorts of things. So you are waiving the financing condition based on your circumstances at that time. So your question is about after that?
Yeah, so I've been approved.
So after that.
Yeah.
So after that, now a lot of banks have come out and said, if we accept your income and approve your income before that financing condition date, then we're not going to go back to it.
Okay.
So we've put in our verbal confirmation, where we've got the letter of employment, we've satisfied it, we're done, we're not going back.
Okay.
Not everybody has come out and said that, but we're hoping that that's going to be the industry standard, since a lot of the major players have come out and said this is the way we're doing it. So.
Okay. Now, what if I've sold my home, right, and the buyer does not qualify anymore? I mean, obviously, this is we've never been through this before. This is something, as a lot of people are saying, the word unprecedented. That's the new word in the dictionary. So this is very unprecedented times that we're living in right now. If a buyer has purchased my home, and perhaps if they have, depending on which bank they've used, and they didn't qualify, what can I do to for myself if I'm the seller? the buyer doesn't qualify. My home is been sold, but now this buyer does not qualify. Have you been seeing anything like that, or maybe I'm reaching too far?
I think there's a chance that that scenario is coming. I'm sure there's a little bit of that out there already. It hasn't come across my desk yet, but I would defer to a lawyer. So if your buyer has waived the financing conditions and now they're calling you and saying, the mortgage is messed up, I can't close, I have to back out, then I wouldn't want to speak too much to that, because that becomes a legal issue.
Yeah.
They're breaking a binding contract as the
Okay.
bottom line. So
Okay.
you should have some kind of recourse. But if you're trying to bring down recourse on somebody that's lost their job, there might not be a lot of room. I'm not sure. You maybe get some other deposit or something like that for damages.
Okay. So
Legal issue.
realistically, need to talk to, if the
Yeah.
situation is what's going on with you, first thing, contact your lawyer, explain the situation, and they will, I'm sure, give you some advice on that. Again, now I'm just looking at some of the questions here, Scott. You've basically answered that most banks are going to be offering the deferral program, and everyone just needs to apply for it. You will not necessarily qualify. You shouldn't really use this as a mortgage vacation. Really only use it if you need it. Which is good advice for people. So we can continue. Now, are you seeing a lot of the banks approving mortgages with what's going on right now?
Approvals haven't stopped or slowed down.
Okay.
The timelines for approvals have slowed down. So if you're writing an offer on a house, then I highly recommend trying to get 2 weeks or more for that financing condition date. Sorry,
Okay.
Barb. I know that makes your job a little bit harder, but that's something that's going to have to be negotiated. We're still happy to try and push things through quick when it's needed, but the banks have been very slow. Now,
Okay.
just today, actually, I got some feedback from my underwriters that they're starting to feel a little bit caught up. So hopefully we'll get back to normal in a week or two. But I'd still recommend setting it up so you have lots of time to get that financing finalized.
Okay. So basically, mortgages are still being approved, so a buyer can still go out, buy a home, but we're just looking for a longer extension as far as the financing conditions go.
Right.
Okay. And now, Scott, tell me, what sort of advice would you offer to somebody who's looking to purchase a home right now, beside extending their conditions? I mean, you're in the mortgage business. What are you seeing coming across your desk? And has there been any anomalies or anything that a buyer needs to really beware of?
I'll go through a few things.
Okay.
I guess, first of all, I'd say get those pre-approvals. They're more important than ever now. Get a solid pre-approval. Don't just print something off the internet, but actually get somebody to look at your documents and make sure that you can close on the deal and get that final approval once you write an offer in a house. Because you're going to go out in Corona world and look at houses. You're going to drag Barb out there. Let's keep everybody safe. We want to make sure you're properly pre-approved before you do that.
Okay, let me interrupt here for a minute. Now, speak to that about what's the difference between a pre-approval and an approval. What's the process that a buyer goes through for that, Scott?
Sure. So a pre-approval will have a conversation and run some numbers, first of all, just to see where things are at and make sure it makes sense. Second of all, we'll check your credit and take a look under the hood, so to speak, to see exactly what's reporting on your credit bureau, so make sure there's no problems there. And then the third piece is just collecting that supporting paperwork. So that's where we get into some pay stubs or documents showing that you have the down payment available and ready, and the history, and making sure that everything is nice and clean and tidy. So like I said, that gives you a firm pre-approval. So when you write that offer, you're final approval will come. So that sets you up to go shopping. Then you go shopping. We've approved you on 3 things: your income, your down payment, and your credit. Now we're going to add the house. So now we've got the full package. You've written an offer on the house. It's been accepted. So we've got the full package. Now we're going to send it into the lender for them to review the full package. And that's where we're in that financing condition window, and we're getting the mortgage finalized.
Okay. All right. Good to know. And then your other items that you're going to mention in regards to.
So another thing is down payment.
Okay.
So a lot of people have their down payment in the stock market, RSPs, mutual funds, things like that. So you'll want to check that. The stock market's taking a big hit. You'll want to know where your numbers are at and make sure that you're not coming short on what you expected to have for a down payment. And then income, make sure that you're comfortable with your employment and that you'll be able to stay employed for the next 6 months, or however long this takes. Hopefully it's shorter than that. But just job security, that you're comfortable that you'll be able to make that mortgage payment. And credit, that's something that we talk about all the time, but making sure that you have clean credit and good credit habits.
Okay, great.
Quick summary.
A quick summary. That's excellent. Yeah. And the one thing I did forget to ask you is, what about rental properties? Are they involved in the deferral payment program? I mean, if I have a rental property, which I do, and my tenant isn't paying the rent, can I apply for the rental, the deferral program?
Yes, you can. So as a landlord, you can apply for the deferral program on your rental property. Okay. As a landlord, you might want to be aware, well, April 1st is passed, but they said that April 1st, you can't kick anybody out if they don't pay rent. So no evictions. May 1st, that will change unless they kick that can down the road. So there's also a rent freeze right now, so you're not allowed to increase rent on tenants. And as a tenant, if you can't make your payment, then you need to talk to your landlord so that they can try and get the deferral program. But be aware as a tenant that the deferral program doesn't mean that your landlord's not making their payments. It means they're making their payments later. So everybody needs to try and have empathy with approaching this, as well as some logic and understanding, because there's still payments that as a landlord you need to make, even if you're out a rent check. But that being said, as a landlord, you're gonna do a lot better if you can work with your tenant and find a way through this until they're back into employment, than kicking them out and going through that process and having a vacancy right now and trying to fill it. So the win-win solution is to keep the lines of communication open. Landlords, talk to your banks, talk to your tenants, talk to your landlords, figure out what's fair and good.
Okay. Yeah. And now, Scott, is there anything else that you would like to talk about that perhaps I haven't asked questions? Because I want to make sure that everyone understands the mortgage deferral payment, as well as, can you qualify? Can you buy a home in this time? And it sounds like we can. Mortgages are still being funded and underwritten. Now, is there anything else that you would like to speak to?
I guess I just close off maybe in saying that mortgage brokers, realtors, we've been labeled essential services. We're still open for business. Even in times like this, people need to move. People are buying and selling. Things are still happening. So reach out to us. We're still working. Awesome. And yes. We're here to serve and help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Scott. Now, if someone wants to get a hold of you, please let me know what is your best contact and what's the best way to get you. And I will also put the information again in the description box, but let them know where they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so you can give me a call at 587-433-8329. You can send me an email at scott@scottgrubbe.ca, and my last name is Grubbe, so scott@scottgrubbe.ca, but Barb will have that in the box below as well. So
Excellent.
yeah, I'd love to hear from you and help you with your situation. So give me a call, give me an email. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining me, and thank you for filling us in. And hopefully the consumers can have some more information and they can be armed with correct information, as opposed to, on the internet, there's so many misinformation. So thank you again, and have a great evening, and take care and stay safe.
Thanks, Barb. Have a
Bye
good night.
now. See you. I want to thank Scott so much for coming on today. As he mentioned, we want to make sure that you're informed, that you're making the right decision, because the mortgage deferral program is not for everyone. So if you do need to reach out to Scott, his information will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching today. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, comment, and hit the notification bell, and stay safe. Bye for now.